Charles O'Neill and William Lauchlan, described by a judge as evil, determined and manipulative paedophiles of the worst sort, and by a prosecutor as the most dangerous sex offenders in Scotland. Convicted last month of a horrifying series of sexual assaults and rapes of youngsters, and now of murdering a woman in 1997. 12 years ago, O'Neill and Lauchlan were jailed after admitting a series of sex offences against young boys on the island of Bute and in Skelmally and Largs on the Ayrshire coast. Here in Rothesay, they had befriended a number of women who were heavy drinkers and offered to babysit for them, giving them access to their sons. One of the people they met was Alison McGarrigle. Had she not disappeared, she would have given evidence in the case against them. Alison McGarrigle was separated from her husband Robert when she went missing in June 1997. Her body's never been found. Just a week before she disappeared, she'd moved to this flat in Largs, where O'Neill and Lauchlan were living with a young boy. This is where she was last seen. She'd had an argument with the two men. O'Neill and Lauchlan haven't said what happened here on that June night almost 13 years ago, but police believe the row they had with Alison McGarrigle was over the fact that she was about to inform police that they had been sexually abusing the young boy. It's thought they strangled Alison McGarrigle here before hiding her body on Largs Beach and then dumping it in the Firth of Clyde. This is the boat police believe the men used to take Alison McGarrigle's body into the Firth of Clyde. In a chilling clue, O'Neill later told a friend she'd been gotten rid of and was feeding the fishes. Still in Largs, police found the young boy, reported missing by his father, locked in a cupboard in a flat in this street to which O'Neill and Lauchlan had moved. It was 3 months after Mrs. McGarrigle had disappeared. Police, who carried out a missing persons inquiry, were forced to admit after 7 years that she was probably dead. Her son called for help to find out what had happened to her.
Although 7 years have passed since she disappeared, I've never stopped wondering what happened to her. Police now believe she is dead, and it would help myself and the rest of my family if we were given the chance to lay her to rest.
O'Neill and Lauchlan have finally been convicted of killing her, but only now can the full story of their depravity and a wide-ranging police investigation to stop them be told. The men were jailed in 1998 for abusing 5 boys aged between 11 and 15. Freed from prison, they resumed their predatory behaviour, travelling across Britain and Europe. In Irvine, O'Neill abused 2 young boys, one just 13. He and Lauchlan took one of the boys to Benidorm and abused him there. In a nearby town, they offered 2 Fife brothers work in their window-cleaning business. They abducted one aged 15 and abused him. O'Neill and Lauchlan were brought back to Britain for breaching their sex offender registration and were jailed for 3 years in 2005. On release, they moved to Blackpool, where police bugged their van, revealing they were grooming a 6-year-old boy. He was abused in central Scotland, Peterhead and Glasgow. The pair promised his mother a new life with them in Spain. Most chilling of all, the High Court in Glasgow heard they were trying to persuade the young boy's mum to become a surrogate mother for them, to give them their own child. Police can't say they've traced all of O'Neill and Lauchlan's victims and say they'll support anyone else who comes forward.
It's absolutely terrible what they've left as a legacy, and really it is a legacy of pain in young men who are now of an age of being young men and still unable to move on with their lives.
It's unlikely Charles O'Neill and William Lauchlan will ever be freed from jail to abuse young boys again. Reeve Alderson reporting, Scotland.